Are those people who reject life after death haters of life? The question of the continuation of life after physical death defines humanity. The ancient Egyptians didn't believe that physical death was the end of life. But they did believe that there was something essential about the body, which is why they sought to preserve it through mummification. It's hard to understand the logic of the Egyptians. If nature doesn't preserve dead bodies, it allows them to decompose and disintegrate, then doesn't that suggest that the gods willed this? To mummify bodies, apart from being costly, time-consuming and labor-intensive, is anti-nature, hence anti-gods, the rulers of nature. Religious beliefs and customs should never contradict nature. Mummification was a man-made idea, not part of nature. So, why was the physical body so important to the Egyptians? Some influential Egyptian thinker must at one time have told the Egyptians that mummification was indispensable, and he must have been so persuasive that the whole of Egyptian culture was changed by his idea. History has not recorded this person's name, or their argument, but it has recorded the fact of widespread and obsessive mummification. The decisive idea probably concerned the primitive understanding of magic. It may have been the birth of the doctrine of sympathetic magic, which seems to strike most people as inherently true at some deep-seated psychological level. James George Frazer famously discussed sympathetic magic in The Golden Bough. Wikipedia says, Frazer subcategorized sympathetic magic into two varieties: that relying on similarity, and that relying on contact or contagion. Frazer wrote, "If we analyze the principles of thought on which magic is based, they will probably be found to resolve themselves into two. First, that like produces like, or that an effect resembles its cause. And, second, that things which have once been in contact with each other continue to act on each other at a distance after the physical contact has been severed." The former principle may be called the law of similarity, the latter the law of contact or contagion. From the first of these principles, namely the law of similarity, the magician infers that he can produce any effect he desires merely by imitating it. From the second, he infers that whatever he does to a material object will affect equally the person with whom the object was once in contact, whether it formed part of his body or not. So, the ancient Egyptian thinker probably said something like, "We all have a physical self and we all have a spiritual self, and the two are intimately connected, and their connection lasts forever. To preserve the spiritual soul, we must preserve the physical body. If we give food and drink and offerings to the dead body, these will be transmitted to the soul that once lived inside the body. We can communicate directly with the soul via the body. If the body is destroyed, contact is lost with the soul, and it loses its identity and disintegrates. Many people, even today, would probably take such ideas seriously. You can imagine a future cult centered on cryonics, which claims that the body must be frozen for the soul to survive death. Wikipedia says, cryonics, from Greek, cryos meaning cold, is the low-temperature freezing and storage of human remains, with the speculative hope that resurrection may be possible in the future. Isn't this just a continuation of mummification by other means? High-tech mummification. Frazer wrote, charms based on the law of similarity may be called homeopathic or imitative magic. Charms based on the law of contact or contagion may be called contagious magic. The Egyptians seem to have been obsessed with imitative and contact magic, centered on the idea that the soul had once been in contact with the body during life, and remained so after death, and that things done with the dead body, such as offering it things, would be imitated in the afterlife. You could thus continue to supply the soul after death by supplying the corpse. All of this also allowed the living to feel intimately involved with the welfare of their dead loved ones. This would be very comforting for most people.